I have another event to attend today. Inshallah, it's at 7:40. Toby Sab has another big iftar event happening today. So inshallah, we'll just quickly get through today's show. So first and foremost, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Jazakallah for joining. It's our fourth episode. As I said, we have a very special guest on today, and we're going to learn about something new, which I didn't know about. I didn't even know he did this, independent financial crime. Something wicked. I think we'll learn a lot from Khuddam Bhai. So we've got Khuddam, we've had Kawi Bhai. There's only one brother left now. That's your up, mate. Next week. We'll talk about. Get your career going, bro. Here you go. But today, inshallah, we'll just go to Mubarak Sahib in a second. We'll just talk about the Jummah today, because it's quite another historic Jummah that happened. So if we just quickly go through that. But just firstly, alhamdulillah, we have the last Friday. So I just wanted to say, inshallah, everyone, I hope you had a really good Ramadan. And I really hope that you felt a little bit closer to Allah the Almighty. And it's really nice that we were able to be together throughout this journey. We've had, like I said, we've had 4 Khuddam nights now, and it's really nice being able to see all of you. Inshallah, we'll continue this after Ramadan as well. So, Jazakallah for everyone for your commitment and for being together in this way that we can. So, just firstly, Jazakallah Khuddam Sahib for also joining. We're just going to go quickly through the Friday sermon of Huzur's Khutbah. So can I just quickly ask Mubarak Sahib, can you just quickly give us a little summary of that one?
So yeah, today Huzur deliver a khutbah. It's like Eid before Eid. We Huzur. Yeah, it's a long time that we are missing Huzur face and Huzur Hidayat. So thing is that Huzur basically talk about barakatul dua, that barakat he has, and उन्होंने ये भी mention किया था कि जब अफराद जमात के जो प्यार और मोहब्बत और दुआएं जो है वो खिलाफत के साथ वो बहुत ज़्यादा है, जिसकी वजह से मैं जो हूँ इतना जल्दी रिकवर कर गया. एंड डॉक्टर वर आल्सो सरप्राइज दैट यू हील इट वेरी क्विकली. सो उसमें ये भी था कि हुजूर ने ये भी फरमाया कि खलीफा सालिस ने एक बात की थी जो उनको बहुत अच्छी लगी थी कि जमात और अफराद खिलाफत और अफराद जमात इज लाइक मतलब एक जिस्म है और 2 जाने हैं. इट्स अ वन एंटिटी. इसके अलावा उन्होंने बरकात दुआ पे ज़्यादा फोकस किया था कि किस तरह दुआएं कबूल होती हैं और किस तरीके से मेरे साथ भी हुआ. इनफैक्ट हुजूर के थोड़े बहुत निशान हमें नज़र भी आ रहे थे आँख के नीचे और माथे पे, लेकिन अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह कि वो सब चीज़ें जो है उनकी अंदरूनी कोई चोट नहीं थी और सब चीज़ें हील अप हो गई हैं. इसके अलावा हुजूर ने आखिर में दुआएं भी फरमाई, मुख्तलिफ दुआएं की हमारे लिए भी और जमात के लिए, अफराद जमात के लिए भी. और इसके अलावा हुजूर ने एक बहुत अच्छी बात बयान की जो मैं ज़रूर मेंशन करना चाहूँगा, जो कि हमारी अपनी गैदरिंग्स में भी होता है कि हम लोग वो चीज़ को बिल्कुल फोकस नहीं करते और बिल्कुल नोटिस नहीं करते उस बात को जो हमें लाजिम करनी चाहिए. कि हुजूर ने फरमाया था कि जो हम गैदरिंग्स में होते हैं, दोस्तों में होते हैं, गॉसिप्स करते हैं, गपशप करते हैं, जो भी करते हैं, तो हमें आपस में जो एक दूसरे की फ्रेंडशिप होती है उसमें इज्जत का जो वैल्यू होती है, एक रिस्पेक्ट की वैल्यू है, वो हमेशा मलहूज़े खातिर रखनी चाहिए, मतलब फर्स्ट प्लेस पे रखनी चाहिए कि हम एक दूसरे से इतना हंसी मजाक ना करें कि एक दूसरे की इज्जत ही चली जाए, एक दूसरे की नज़रों में इज्जत चली जाए. तो आपस में रिस्पेक्ट का एक माहौल बनाया जाए, दुआएं की जाए के लिए. हुजूर ने खुद दुआएं करके भी दिखाई और हमें मतलब बताई कुछ दुआएं. तो हुजूर शुरू से 7 साल जब खिलाफत 100 साल हुए थे उस वक्त भी हुजूर ने जब से कुछ दुआएं हैं, मखसूस दुआएं, 7 साल खिलाफत जुबली की दुआएं, वो हुजूर आज तक हमें उसकी नसीहत करते हैं कि हमें वो दुआएं पढ़नी चाहिए. और मैं तो समझता हूँ कि उसे हर नमाज का हिस्सा बनाना चाहिए. जैसे मैं तो 7 साल खिलाफत की जितनी भी दुआएं हैं, रब्बे कुल्ले शैइन खादिम रब्बे वफ़ज़नी मंसूरनी, जितनी भी हैं, मैं हर नमाज में वो पढ़ता ही पढ़ता हूँ. वो मैंने अपनी नमाज का एक पार्ट बना लिया उसके अंदर. तो इस तरीके से दुआओं पे ज़्यादा फोकस किया था. और हमारी दोस्ती और गैदरिंग और दुनियावी मतलब जितने भी मामला चल रहे हैं, कोरोना वायरस वगैरह, ये सब चीज़ें, हुजूर ने यही फरमाया कि दुआएं करें और दुआओं के जरिए जैसे हुजूर ने अपनी मिसाल दी कि डॉक्टर्स हैरान थे और हुजूर कुछ अर्सा पहले हुजूर का एक और प्रॉब्लम हो गया था कि उनसे हाथ नहीं उठाया जा रहा था और वो अपना जो बाजू आर्म है वो किसी की सपोर्ट से फिर उठा रहे थे। तो क्रिश्चियन डॉक्टर थे उनके, और वो डॉक्टर जो थे वो कहते थे कि मैं क्रिश्चियन हूँ और मेरा भी दुआओं पे बिलीव है, लेकिन आप मुझे ये पक्का यकीन हो गया कि आपकी मतलब अगली अगली नेक्स्ट सिटिंग के अंदर हुजूर जो है वो 90% रिकवर भी कर गए थे। तो उन्होंने क्रिश्चियन डॉक्टर ने भी यही कहा कि ये मैं मुझे भी दुआओं पे बिलीव और कि आपकी दुआओं की नतीजा है, रिजल्ट है कि आप इतनी जल्दी हील अप कर गए, वरना 6 वीक्स और 3 मंथ आपको लग सकते थे इसको सही होने में। तो ये था हुजूर ने जो आज जुम्मतुल विदा भी था, तो जुम्मतुल विदा पे यही खुतबा इरशाद फरमाया था।
Jazakallah, really good. Jazakallah, as you said, we always say every week, try to pick one point out and try to implement that point. So I think this point of thinking about Huzur, and he said at the beginning, I want to thank everyone for writing to me. And this really affected me because a lot of people say, that Huzur doesn't read our letters and why do we send letters to Huzur and stuff. So just by saying this, Huzur really said thank you. It's not very often where Huzur says thank you to the Jamaat for sending him letters and for his prayers. And he said, because of your prayers, I was able to heal quickly. So that was just another reminder of how we should try to establish that connection with Khilafat and why it's so important. And that really affected me more than anything. As you said, we missed Huzur's face. We didn't see it for 2 weeks, and so that's why just his presence is enough for us. It's enough for us to say, Alhamdulillah, Huzur's fine now. So Jazakallah for that really good summary. I like how you present it and you take it all in, and it's really good to get a message out. So everyone, whenever you're listening to khutbah, try to take one point. One point, that's all you need. If you can take more, but try to implement anything that you can get from Huzur's khutbah. Cool, man. That's up. Been busy helping people out, mashallah. Fazul spoke about it today as well. He said people don't help out society on the day of judgment. Allah will say to them, when I was hungry, why didn't you feed me? When I didn't have clothes, why didn't you clothe me? And they will say to Allah, Allah, you are the Almighty. You don't need any of these things. And he said, it's not me, it's my people. And if you are clothing my people, if you're helping my people, it's like you are doing that for me as well. So, Zatab, help us out. Tell us what you've been up to and what you've been doing and what's happening around the region.
Jazakallah, Sab. Yeah, man, there's quite a lot obviously happening across the region. Obviously, first I'll just go on with my department, which is Tabligh.
Sorry guys, Zaitab, as you know, regional Tabligh secretary, trying to stay busy, trying to let everyone keep everyone in the loop. So this is why every week he just comes and he just lets us know what's happening around the country so that we just get a quick taste of what's happening.
Yeah. So at the moment, obviously from our Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya side, from the center, we've been given a target of distributing gift bags. So the gift bags we are distributing, half of them we're supposed to be distributing towards the what do you call it? Sorry, the key workers, and the other half is to the people who are homeless people. So this is what the target we've been received from Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya at the moment. So if I can request, Khuddams to go out there, help their guideens as well, to do a bit of shopping with the content, and also grab the Eid cards are also available from Regional Qaid Sahib. He's got them available. I've just literally before I came to the Khuddam night, I just picked them up right now, the Eid cards. Actually, I should have bought it upstairs, but I didn't. So they're available to collect from Qaid Sahib as well. And I would request, Khuddams to just get on board with this and start to go out around Eid. So if you can possibly go tomorrow or even day after Eid as well, just try to make it within the days around Eid. That's the one of the main targets which we've been given from Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya at the moment. With regards to Tabligh, I'll just move on to now. As you can see on the chat, I've also sent my number. I'll explain why I've sent my number through as well. Just going to share screen. Okay. So there is went a bit too far. So there's quite a bit going on in our region with Tabligh at the moment. That's why Rabbi Sahab was asking about if Rabbi Sahab has catched up with me and so on. So I'm going to explain to you what is going on. It's a very interesting event that we've arranged, and inshallah, it's going to be a very successful. And want Khuddam's guys who've joined as well the call today to be part of this, and we're going to explain how we can be a part of this. And it's a very important event. So what we're going to be covering today, the main point which I wanted to be touching on is that we've got a Eid party, which I'm going to talk about first. Then we're going to go on training, Tabligh trainings and other trainings that are available to Khuddams and also other departments as well. And this just going to reflect back onto the big virtual iftar, how it went, and it was a very great success basically. So the first one, this is a very exciting one. So what we have done is myself and Toby Saab, we have decided to basically go ahead and do Eid party. So the Eid party is going to be a virtual Eid party. Obviously, it's not going to be, we're going to come to the mosque and we're going to invite everyone, but it's going to be all virtual. It's going to be on Zoom. What it's all about, it's about what this Eid party is going to be about. It's about Khuddams are going to be sharing their Ramadan experience. There's going to be a slideshow as well of Khuddam activities, and also we're going to cover a bit more khidmati activities as well in this Eid party. It's going to be on the next Friday, and yeah, it's going to be 5:30 to 6:30. I know you're thinking that's the Khuddam night time. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to move Khuddam night just an hour after, or half an hour after the original time from 6 o'clock. So this will be from 5:30 to 6:30 inshallah. It's only going to be for an hour. It's going to be on Zoom, and it's all about basically what the whole idea of this is basically to celebrate Eid together. So obviously at the moment with the restrictions around and the social gatherings and stuff like that, we're not able to meet up. So with this, we're trying to basically bring people together and trying to make everyone kind of celebrate together. Basically, it's going to be on Fridays. Obviously, it's a few days after Eid. I understand that, but that's it's a chance for us to all to come together. And one thing I wanted to highlight was that, let me just move this on the side here. Yeah, is that this is just not being organized by myself or Toby Saab or basically Jamaat. This is also being organized by the communities around Wolverhampton and other communities as well. So there's a few community ambassadors such as Toby Saab, and there's a few others. So they are also part of this. They are making like the older media content. They're going to be doing the slides. They're going to be doing all this work for us. So I'm going to give them the information, and they're going to basically come up with the logo, the poster, and all the agenda, the whole thing. I'm just going to tell them, and they're going to design this all for us. And what basically I wanted from you guys is basically I wanted to ask Khuddams to possibly send in their basically their Ramadan experience. So like any pictures, any videos you've got, if you could just basically send me on WhatsApp. I've sent my number as well. That's why I sent my number. So if you can send it on my number, all like any activities of you guys have done during Ramadan and a bit more experience as well. That would be great, because I'm going to try to put this on the slideshow. And also this is something I wanted as well. Basically on the agenda, we're going to have Khuddams who are going to be speaking about their Ramadan experience. So if there is any Khuddam who would like to share their experience, during this lockdown, how it was, how this Ramadan was so different, the challenges of Ramadan, and etc. so on. So if any Khuddam would like to do that, please do let me know. It'll be very good for you to also come up and share your experience. So inshallah there'll be quite a lot of people involved as well. And one thing what I really want to highlight is that this event is not just for our Jamaat. We're going to be inviting the other communities around as well, around Midlands. So there's the Sikh community, which is a very big community. We're going to be also inviting them. There's going to be a few of the Navy people as well. They're going to be coming as well, the cadets, and also some of the police department as well from around the area. They're all basically, all these communities and the neighbors as well. We're going to be all involving, them in this, in our celebration. And the important thing is that when we invite externals, the level just kind of jumps up. Basically, it's not just us brothers. The expectation and the hospitality from us, basically, it's at a different level, basically. So we really have to kind of, take care of these people. Obviously, physically, they're not in front of us, but at the same time, like showing them, having a conversation with them, just being around and joining in, that kind of shows that, that community, relationship. So, this is one thing I want to basically really mention, that please do join, do show your support. And our communities are Jamaat, so you are a part of this, and please do get involved and show these other communities as well that what our Jamaat is all about. So we'll speak about this in a few minutes as well, just to catch up a bit more about it. Yeah, next thing, it's the Tabligh training and discussions as well. So as always, I've mentioned that we have our Tabligh training and discussion show, which is always on every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. And this is for pretty much anyone, from the Jamaat to join in and to kind of learn. There's also how it normally works is that Rabbi Tahir Saab, Selby Saab, he normally discusses something such as the allegations, and then we basically asking questions on that. And if there's anything that we're not aware about, we kind of basically get to find out what the actual facts are, basically. So it's a very good class for all Khuddams to join in, and it's for you to basically increase your spiritual knowledge and religious knowledge as well, also about our Jamaat and Islam as well. So the next few, obviously, I wanted to also say that virtual iftar has finished, Ramadan Kareem has finished. All these platforms which were arranged from Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya and also our Jamaat programs as well, these are all trainings that we should definitely be taking part in. And finally, I've got Daras. This takes place every day, from the center, and also our Rabbi Saab, Hamaya Saab, he's also doing his Daras as well. And one thing I wanted to say that about the Daras, that sometimes I've not been able to join the Daras. I've been a bit busy, at that particular time, helping the family or just something else. But since, Rabbi Saab and Abir Bhai, they've started to record this on YouTube, I've been able to watch this sometimes just before Sehri or after Sehri as well. And, just the way, Rabbi Saab has arranged this and the way they're discussing on the Daras, and it's amazing. I've learned so much, believe me, from this. Just recently there was a Daras about Quran and Khatm Nabuhat, I believe. So Rabbi Saab, was it Khatm Nabuhat, this one here?
Yeah, just giving examples of how they translate the Quran in different ways.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, down here in the Rabbi Saab said that the Quran, obviously the Arabic Quran is it's not being changed and it's been like that, but the translation, which these what is our translation, our Jamaat translation, and the translation, the way they have interpreted it in the in the other Muslim sectors is very different. The way for example, on the first one here, I'm not sure if you can able to see. Yeah, on the first one here, they've said something, and it's the same basically word, but on the other ones they've just completely changed it on the pictures, basically, which Rabbi Saab has put there. So this is really great for us to kind of learn from this. And also a few days back as well, there was a daras about I think it's 26 guidelines of raising children, and it's such an amazing thing. And to see that there's so much that is involved in parenting, and I'm a parent myself, and I see 26 things, you know, that I have to try to do. It's just like, I don't know, I fail in so many things there myself, and it's just so much that we can learn from it. Believe me, I mean, we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. No one out there is perfect, but these things are there for us to basically learn, and us to kind of reflect, and us to try to shape our life towards this, and try to, you know, educate ourselves and try to follow these things. And these are things which will basically benefit us and help us in our rest of our lives, basically. So these trainings are very vital for us to, you know, definitely attend in. And just finally, just bit go on the virtual iftar. I just wanted to basically, you know, thank our center team, Tabligh department from the center, that they've really worked hard on this activity. It's all been obviously viral. I mean, sorry, it's all been virtual. So it's all online, and they've worked extremely hard on it. You know, they've done posters where they've done a 5-day poster for send pictures on WhatsApp, 4-day send it on link, you know, 3 days send it on a next door app, 2 days left send it on Facebook, 1 day left send it invitation by email, a few hours left, you know, advertise it, you know, post it on your Instagram, WhatsApp status, I don't know, Snapchat. So it's so many ways and so many different platforms that they've got, basically, us to kind of get involved in, and us to kind of spread the message of Islam. So it just shows that, you know, what we can really do just by sitting in front of our phones and our laptops, and, you know, spreading the message of Islam, basically. So that's it from my side. I'll just stop the screen share.
Jazakallah, Zaid bhai. That was very passionate. I think everyone will agree with that, and it's really nice to see that, you know, you're learning as well, and you've learned something during Ramadan, and you've really taken hold of your department very well. So inshallah, more people will be able to, you know, jump on that wagon and be able to take part as well. Inshallah.
Definitely. Yeah, I remember Ziab, what's it called, man? Zarab, he's like smacking it on Twitter these days, man. He's just jumped in, and he's like, mashallah, like on it. I've seen his account and so on. So, you know, this is what it's all about, man. Seriously, you know, if we can't physically go out there, but, you know, we're active in these social medias as well, you know, has always guided us, as we said last time as well. You know, jump in, get involved. You know, these are the things to, you know, basically spend your time around as well, if you've got any free time. So yeah.
Yeah. Jazakallah. Zaryab Chage yaar. Mashallah.
Inspired by Nasser, obviously.
Nasser, the social media king.
Yeah.
Nasser, jump on Twitter as well when you can, bro.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, the whole different world, Twitter, man, I'm telling you.
I've heard it's toxic, so I don't know about that.
It's not for the youth, is it? Anyways, guys, Jazakallah, man, really good. We'll talk more about this a bit later, but I just wanted to really just go to the main, what I call the main event, because it's something which I learn something new every week. Khuddam shaking his head, but it's not. But anyways, Khuddam bhai, friend from a long time, just like Kobe, we always used to meet up in football, and always used to be the guy that used to be the roughest player, I think, in the team, but always the fairest player. Played many years against you. Now, alhamdulillah, I have the opportunity to play with you. Jazakallah for joining us today. Khuddam, as you know, is our brother right from the beginning, born and bred in Birmingham, raised in Walsall. I went back to Birmingham. We're trying to get him back soon, inshallah. But Khuddam, tell us about your life, man. Tell us your journey, and inshallah how you go into your work. But before that, let's just go through your childhood and eventually to your marriage.
Yeah, first of all, just want to say salam to everyone. I just want to apologize because I know that I haven't attended many of these sessions, and I feel as though the first one that I attended, Murabi Sahib just ripped me, and he said, "Oh, you're doing a talk next week." I have no choice in the matter.
It's actually your brother's fault. It's Nas told Kobe to do it. Now I'm telling you to.
Pick it on the Ramadan day. It's NASA next week, yeah?
Yeah, that's the next week.
Yeah, so just to introduce myself, Khurram Rehan. I can see my father there.
We'll turn off his camera, though.
He's listening now.
So yeah,
Oh,
that's it.
go on, what are you saying?
No, I was just going to say it better be worth my while listening to this. This has pulled me over here. So, Assalamu alaikum, Rabbi Sahib, and everybody else.
Walaikum assalam.
Walaikum assalam.
Oh, it's our special guest as usual.
Oh, mashallah. How are you?
Um,
Go on, carry on now, carry on.
Yeah, so just to quickly introduce myself for those that don't know me, Khuddam Rehan. I'm 30 years old, part of Birmingham North Jamaat. I suppose just a bit of family background. My grandfather came here, as Kavibai mentioned last week, many many years ago, and he's one of the founding members of the Birmingham Jamaat. And mashallah, he's over 90 years old now. And he's got a lot of wisdom, a lot of stories to tell, and he's still mashallah very switched on. Till this day he knows when was the last time that I came to see him, and he'll pull out a book where it'll state exactly the date and time when I came last, and he's mashallah still very alert. But yeah, just a bit about myself, I guess. I'm currently serving as Khidmat al-Khalq Nazim for the region. I've served in a number of different capacities. Sayyid Jismani, I've served as Mu'tamid, Tariq Jadid, Waqf Jadid. I think the regional title, I was taking it easy me on that year around the time when I got married. So yeah, I've had a few different roles in the Jamaat. I guess maybe so I'm to talk about my career as well.
Yeah. So take us through so your childhood is done. Obviously you raised more with Walsall boys, right? You know them, you're a bit closer to them, and you went through most of your education with them. And I can really see that. I really saw that when I was playing football with you guys, how your cohesion was really good, and you showed that you guys really love each other in that way. That the brotherhood is really strong. So from that, but I never knew you as person. I didn't know how you are as a person or anything. So how was going through school with everyone with Ahmadis and being always tight knit with the Jamaat in that way?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, I was quite blessed because Walsall Jamaat, when I was growing up, there's a number of us boys, that were growing up together, and with Gavibai's guide, all of us were growing up together and under his sort of command, you could say, and it was blessed. I studied with, you could say, I studied with Nasir at school. He was a year above me. Studied with Taha when I was at university, although he studied a different course. So yeah, it was good to be around the boys. It's sad to leave also, but it was for for commitment purposes, I guess. And I don't think Birmingham's that bad.
We're still glad to have you in the region, so that's the main thing. We're far, but we're close at the same time.
Yeah.
So you said that you went into law in university.
Yeah. So I studied law.
Quite different to your line of work, isn't it?
Yeah. So I studied law at University of Birmingham, and I went on to do the LPC, which is a legal practice course. It's like the vocational course that solicitors do in order to practice as solicitors. Original plan was to become a solicitor and practice as a fee earner. After I graduated from the College of Law, managed to secure a role at a large international law firm called, at the time, Rag & Co. And then it combined, and now it's called Gowling WLG. And I managed to, I was there for just under 4 years, you could say, and alhamdulillah, I got some really good experience there. But for me, that was long enough to know that I didn't want to practice practice as a fee earner. And I'd almost built my own niche in money laundering matters. And I guess that was my sort of specialist area when I was at the law firm. And I started to explore my opportunities because I felt that it was time for change. So I started looking into banking, and I knew that there's a lot of hot press on the banking sector because a lot of banks were being at the time fined and sort of under scrutiny because of all these different money laundering failings, and it was a hot topic at the time. So I knew that with my experience, I could go in and bring something valuable. And I was offered a job at HSBC. It's about 2 years ago now, 3 years ago. And I was there for around 10 months. And I got some really good, valuable experience. Was able to build knowledge within the banking sector, understand sort of my area a bit more from a banking perspective, and bring that sort of legal knowledge in as well. So that after that role, I was then contacted by Deutsche Bank for a sort of consulting role, which I guess leads me to my title and what you used as the sort of subhead.
Can you just explain your title a little bit? What is independent financial crime?
Yeah, so essentially all it means is, so it's a bit of a mouthful, independent financial crime consultant. All it means is that I'm self-employed. I work in the financial crime sector, and I do it on a consulting basis. So I'm contracted by the banks to work independently. So I come in for a particular project, help them to achieve the targets that are required for that project, and then I'll go. so basically it's cost effective for them, and it's good for me because I get to jump around different banks, get to acquire the experience, acquire the knowledge, and then move on, which helps me obviously to grow, and obviously to get a better understanding of the way different banks work as well. So I mean, so after HSBC, I was at Deutsche Bank for 10 months, and then I went to a bank called Handelsbanken, which is, I don't know if many of you have heard, it's a Swiss bank, and they deal with sort of very sophisticated clients, they high net worth individuals, those kind of people. And it was, I had a 6-month stint there. Again, that was on a consulting basis. In Manchester, wasn't the best time of my life, away from the family. But I was then offered a role back in Deutsche Bank, second line of defence, working in the role that I'm in now. So just to, I guess, give you a bit of background on what I do. So I guess it'll be important to explain what financial crime is.
Yeah.
So financial crime encompasses, a number of different illegal activities. So it could be money laundering, terrorist financing, bribery and corruption, fraud, tax evasion. But the main ones sort of I focus on are money laundering, terrorist financing, and bribery and corruption. And just to put into perspective, I guess money laundering accounts for almost 3% of the world's GDP, which is around 2 trillion pounds, and it's a massive amount of money that's being laundered on a yearly basis. But it's a very hot topic at the moment, and I guess it keeps me in a job. but I guess
Do you have to track down where the problem came from? Do you have to deal with the problem yourself, or do you report?
Yeah, so I guess it's not as maybe glorified as it sounds, but just to give you a typical example, and there's a number of like movies out there and serials that explain what money laundering is, and I've noticed a lot more focus around it in these different series that are, especially on Netflix. But there's a typical example of a drug cartel. So they want to, they've been operating for a number of years. They've acquired all this money from illegal activities, selling Class A drugs, and now they want to clean that money and make it look as though it's come from a legitimate source. So what they do is they'll set up. So there's a number of different ways that banks can be of use to these people. So they could set up a complex ownership structure. So they make it so convoluted that it's difficult for the likes of me to establish who ultimately owns that company or that structure. So they set up these very sophisticated organization structures, which then make it difficult for anyone that's investigating them to understand who actually is a true owner of these companies. So this is one of the things that I work on, understanding, and one of my specialist areas, I guess, understanding different entity types and understanding the way different entities are formed and set up, understanding the sort of the constitution behind them and the legal documentation that that they use in order to set these companies up. I guess I don't want to get too technical, but essentially, just to give you an example, So if you have an ordinary limited company, and then you've got, so this drug cartel set up an ordinary limited company, and then they've got another company based in Cayman Islands, another company based in Venezuela, then another company based, I don't know, in Russia, and then they've got a trust company set up as well. I think to the ordinary man, it just seems very confusing. So they've got companies set up in cross-jurisdictional companies set up in different parts of the world, different types of companies. So it's difficult to really understand who the true owners of those companies are. But just to give you an example, I guess trust is a typical sort of setup where these wealthy individuals who might not have money that's come from a legitimate source, they leave a lot of money to their children via trusts. So I guess that's a red flag in my industry when there's too many trusts involved. If there's too many, cross-border entities that are set up in a company structure, if there's a number of layers in that structure. So there's a number of the sort of red flags. It's almost impossible to know when someone is laundering money. All we can do, I suppose, as an industry is to sort of mitigate against those risks. So try and put in place certain controls to make sure that those people aren't infiltrating the banking systems. So I guess, like I mentioned, there's a number of risk areas that we look at. There's country risk. So are they from a high risk country, sanctioned country, basically the likes of, I suppose most of you will know, Iran, considered a sanctioned country. Are they what type of entity are they set up? So the most sort of complex structures involve special purpose vehicles, which are basically companies that they only set up for a specific purpose, and they fulfill their purpose and then they disappear. So it's very easy to launder money through that sort of avenue. And the other type of risks are, I guess, industry risks. So what industry do they practice in? Pharmaceuticals, construction, those types of industries are considered to be higher risk, I guess. So it's a matter of getting all those pieces of information together and putting a risk profile together for a particular client, and then and essentially working out whether that's within the risk appetite of our bank. And then the bank has a risk appetite statement. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I guess that's the crux of it.
You almost sound like a risk analyst.
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of making decisions on a risk-based approach, but a lot of it is to do with ensuring the bank complies with money laundering regulations. So I work a lot with the policy teams who implement policies around money laundering, terrorist financing. So making sure that they're applying legislation correctly into their policies. So when sort of the analysts look at it, they can interpret it quite easily, because a lot of this legislation is quite complex. So a lot of my job is revolved around interpreting that legislation and putting it into simple words for any person in the bank to then go and implement.
So basically, I have someone I know. His bank called him. So it's just a scenario, a good real life scenario, and they said, this is your bank. We need your details. Can you send us your card details, your PIN number, and everything? And he thought, it's my bank. Of course, they know what they're doing. And he was going through something anyway, so he thought, okay, naturally, the bank is calling him for that problem. So, long story short, he basically sent them £2,000. And then when he called his bank, they were like, "We didn't call you," and so it was like a big problem. But the matter even had the Mulakat Azur, and the person went to Azur and said to him, "Azur, this happened," and it was like, "Don't worry, you'll get your money back." I don't know in the real life situation if that they do that. They would you can just call your bank and say, these people have taken my money and I want my money back. But in that situation, after a few weeks, the bank actually analyzed the situation and gave the money back. So what would is that?
I guess that's more, I guess that's more fraud related.
Yeah.
Rather than money laundering. Fraud can happen to anyone, I guess. Not my specialist area, but I guess I think most people have probably been exposed to some sort of fraudulent behavior, or someone has approached someone to carry out some fraudulent activity, and it happens almost on a daily basis. I mean, I'm getting emails on a daily basis to ask
Nigeria and things like that.
to make them. So I get all these messages from regional clients up as well. This, appeals and stuff. It's like,
Could you give us some advice though? Advice on how to recognize if something is like a fraud, or I know you don't work in that time, but through your experience.
How to identify? I guess there's a number of different factors to look at. I guess if you're talking about spam that you get through your emails, I mean, I think the biggest giveaway is probably the email address.
Yeah.
And I think if you're ever, I guess the advice I'd give is if you're ever unsure, just quickly Google it, because someone or another would have created a sort of a forum where they discuss different scams and stuff. But I guess just to round up what I do and how I've also been involved in some work for Humanity First. It wasn't a massive amount of work, but Humanity First have been trying to set up sort of a subsidiary company where they want to try and obtain charity status, and a lot of the regulations around becoming a charity are quite complex. So I had someone approach me about essentially helping Humanity First to get that charity status, because they were finding it difficult to comply with the regulations, the money laundering regulations around it. And one of the difficulties in this area is that a lot of these charities they're used for laundering money purposes and terrorist financing and furthering the cause of terrorists. So I guess that's why it's a little bit more stringent, and the regulators want to know that that the money is coming from legitimate source. So when we donate money, you and I donate money, sometimes they want to go down to that granular detail. Who are your biggest donors? So if for example making a big donation to Humanity First and it accounts for 25% of their revenue, then that sort of information needs to be sort of documented, so that when the regulators come in, they understand, okay, who are the donors, and then not only do we need to know who they are, we need to make sure that the right systems and controls are in place to make sure that those people are legitimate as well. So if I had a criminal record and I'm donating massive amounts of money and I've got a history of laundering money, then these guys, the charity should really have a mechanism whereby they're able to, to do background checks and to establish that this person is not legitimate, and we're not going to do business with them. So it's a number of controls that need to be in place to ensure that everything is above board. So that was some work that I was doing with Humanity First. We're trying to work with them. I think they want to create some policies as well around money laundering as well. It's quite a hot topic at the moment. I guess something that maybe some of the guys want to know. Obviously, my background is legal. I didn't go on to practice as a fee earner. My advice to those that want to become a solicitor, I wouldn't put you off it, but I would say there's other avenues as well, because I thought that I was going into either one of two routes, either become a solicitor or barrister. But then once I sort of acquired this knowledge into this niche area, I knew that I could utilize it in other ways in other industries. So always explore your opportunities, and there's always other avenues, or avenues that maybe not many people have explored. I guess I created my own sort of niche. Not many people, certainly in a law firm, the compliance or money laundering departments are very hard to come by, and they're only just being established. Technical terminology as well. This is the other thing.
Someone just asked you a question, Khuddam. I don't think it's directed to you. We'll answer that a bit later, Salman, yeah? So has anyone got any questions revolving around Khuddam's work? Nas, you got any questions?
I've got a question actually. Right, do you know, like, obviously you've seen Power and stuff like that. Has anything come close to like Power or like Ozark? I've never seen that though, Ozark, but That's about money laundering, isn't it?
Most of the series are probably inappropriate to watch, especially in this one.
That's the first advice.
But there's, I suppose, one of the so there's Power that involves a lot of money laundering because they use a lot of their money in their laundrette to sort of wash it and clean it. There's Ozark, which is quite good. It's quite dark, but it's I definitely recommend it. They show real life examples of where money is laundered and how it's laundered. And then you've got Narcos, which is again not appropriate. I don't think you can, let alone Ramadan in a normal day. I think you've got so you've got a number of different shows that you can watch if you want to get an understanding of it. But I'm happy to provide any more information if anyone needs any. I'm not here to promote money laundering by any means or to help anyone launder the money, but I'm more than happy to give you more information on it if needed. Any other questions?
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I had one actually. How did you find it, like going from completely one profession to another? Like the challenges you faced in the start?
I guess it wasn't a complete change because I was able to utilize my legal experience and I didn't go to waste. This is the most important thing for me. When I made that transition, I didn't want to waste the experience I'd gained and obviously the qualifications that I gained. So I was able to use the experience and the qualifications in the banking industry. That's what it was. So it was quite a smooth transition, although it was difficult to get used to the way banks work and the financial sector. Because obviously I was in a law firm where work was heavily based on fee earning and bringing money for the bank, whereas bringing money for the law firm. Whereas now I'm in a role where it's very operational, back office. There's no sort of targets monetary based. I guess our job is to prevent the banks being fined so heavily. So it's a preventative job, you could say. But again, it wasn't a difficult transition, and it was I was able to utilize everything that I'd sort of built up into the new industry, I guess.
Okay. Have you done anything to catch someone?
I could get quite technical, but I guess there's a couple of interesting.
That's the juicy stuff, man.
Do you know what it is? It's because the nature of my work and the types of clients they're very like big organizations, very sophisticated. So it's not your ordinary individual that comes in.
कार्ड तो क्या है अकाउंट नंबर तो नहीं चेंज हुआ अकाउंट नंबर तो कहीं से भी लोग ले लेते हैं जो करना था अकाउंट नंबर तो
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so there's a particular example of a particular client that I was working on, and they had a number of PEPs. So PEP, I don't want to get too technical, but a PEP is essentially defined as a politically exposed person. All it means is that they're potentially they've got a prominent public function and they're potentially corrupt politicians. So we had a number of those clients onboarded. But we eventually realized that they were too high risk and they were associated with having done some background checks on them, associated with some quite bad sort of scandals that happened in the past. So we were in the process of offboarding these clients and essentially telling them we can't bank you anymore. And one of my bosses had to go out and sign off on some documents in Venezuela. These PEPs were based in Venezuela, so he had to go off and sign off on some documents to get these PEPs offboarded. And what happened was one of the evenings he was told that he had someone come to see him, and so some of the criminals that were working with these corrupt politicians had come into the offices to meet my boss, and basically said, what you're trying to do here is it's not going to happen. Let me take you on a walk. And he took him for a walk, and he went down these spiral of stairs at the back of the office, and there was a small plaque there, and on that plaque there were a number of names that were written, and he said, you know whose names these are? He said, these are exactly what you were doing in the past. So basically, don't think about it. Obviously, quite a threatening or intimidating position to be in because you don't know who the person in front of you is, and potentially, put your life at risk. So he got into a safe haven, came back to the UK, and I guess that was a like celebrity story that you could talk about. But we were able to offboard them in the end, and these EPs or these corrupt politicians had been involved, and once we done further investigation, and they were involved in numerous sort of, scandals, and we were able to offboard them, but we had to do it all remotely. We couldn't go back into the offices, and we had to shut down some of the operations in the offices in Venezuela. So some cases are very interesting, and every day is not the same. But yeah, it's good stuff.
That's mad.
Any other questions, guys? I just had one more question, Khuddam. I usually ask this because, like, linking. I know you mentioned Jamaat a little bit, but how did you feel like your previous involvement in?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
1 second. There's a bit of noise going on. So, do you feel like that your previous experience working in the Jamaat before going uni and everything, and while doing uni, you think that really helped you in your work?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I think without the blessings of Khilafat, I doubt I would be where I am. And without the blessings that you get from doing all the Jamaat work, even if it just means holding a bucket and asking for money for charity, I think all of that sort of contributes towards the blessings that you get. And I think at every point in my career where I thought that maybe things could go bad here, because as a contractor, when I know my project's coming to an end, I start worrying, thinking, okay, what am I going to do now? Because obviously I've got a family to feed, and alhamdulillah, but pay a bit of sadaqah, make sure that try and be involved in Jamaat as much as possible, pray daily. And alhamdulillah, I get, sometimes I just get a random phone call from nowhere. Might get an offer of an opportunity. That's what happened when I moved to Manchester. I was coming close to the end of my contract, and I had nothing in the pipeline. And there were various Jamaat events going on at the time as well, and trying to get involved as much as I can. And alhamdulillah, I was offered a role from a consultancy who called out the blue. But other than that, I think again it's a lot of the Jamaat work that we do. We build a lot of I guess it helps us to build our interpersonal skills. Being able, having that confidence to go forward and speak, and public activity, charity work. All of it, I think, contributes to helping build us as individuals, and having those sort of transferable skills that we can take into. So I'd say to those that are still studying, make sure you involve yourself in the Jamaat as much as possible. Sacrifice as much time as possible, because it doesn't matter how busy you are, if you've got exams. And I've heard the excuse all the time, but the times when I've had exams and it's been a struggle to do Jamaat work, those are the times that I've sort of reaped the rewards and the benefits.
I think it's really easy to, like, when you're on the other side, look back and say, yeah, and I was really glad I helped the Jamaat. But while you're in the moment, while you're studying, it's really difficult to make that decision. You think that I'm alone and I'm just going to do this myself, and I'm the one that's going to get me to the other side. But once you're on the other side, you realize that I couldn't have done this without Allah's help. I couldn't have got that job, which that call that came to me, that wouldn't have happened if this person wasn't praying for me, if I didn't actually help the Jamaat in this moment. So it's actually those moments that Allah actually looks at us the most. And that's why it's really nice speaking to people who have already established their career, or already in their work, so they can come back and tell other people that, it's actually really beneficial to be involved in Jamaat as much as possible. And the way you talked about your grandfather, I think that's like the best thing, and that's like the best example for all of us. And I've seen him. He makes your own father and his brothers all look like they're older than him, you know, because he's so active, mashallah, and he really gives back, and he always tries to show other people that, you know. I remember him when he was in Islamabad. They were telling him to go into the wheelchair, and he was like, "No, I want to walk. I want to be standing and witnessing this moment." So I think just by seeing him and talking to him, I think he is very inspirational.
Yeah.
I think just personalities like that really just humble us and make us realize that, you know, where we need to be when we're reaching his age. So, yeah, man. Jazakallah. Thanks a lot for your talk. I think everyone will agree that it was really beneficial, and it's always nice to. I think everyone learned something new about you today as well. You can live 30 years. Sorry?
I don't know if I just confused everyone about what I do. That's always asked me what I do, and I guess this was a moment to understand.
That's what I'm saying. You can live 30 years with someone, they can still not have a clue what you do. It's nice to be able to share that. So, Jazakallah, man. Really appreciate it.
Jazakallah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, man. Jazakallah. Really nice to have you again. Khuddam Talks, as you know, something which we do every week. We try to grab someone new, whether they like it or not. And it's nice that you know, they surprise themselves, and they will end up realizing themselves that, you know, what I do can actually benefit someone else. And people who are growing up, going through school, you don't know if your work can actually inspire them to go into their line of work. And it's happened to a lot of people in Midlands as well. People who have gone into dentistry, you know, they've seen each other going into it, and that's opened more doors for them to explore. So that's another really nice way to sort of pass down to the younger generation in that way. Just quickly, I just wanted to, it's always nice to show you exactly what people have been up to. So I don't know if you can see my screen here. Can you guys see that? Can you guys see what, 1 second.
Yes, we can.
Can you see it now? Can you see this picture?
Yeah, we can see it. Yes.
So yeah, this is just some activities that people have been getting up to, and this is someone, their young child wrote a letter to beloved Hazur, and as you can see, it's very sweet and very quite cute. And Hazur always says that I love it when children write to me, especially in their own handwriting. As you know, the prayers of children always get accepted. So this is when Hazur wasn't feeling well. So the particular individual wrote a letter to Hazur, and you can see they made it very colorful and very nice. So the parents out there, Khuddam, everyone, get your kids to write these letters, and you can send them through. You can pass them on to me, or you can fax them, and they'll go straight directly to Hazur's office. So another way to get our kids involved. And as you know, Hazur said Jazakallah to every single person for writing to him and for praying to him. As you know, everyone's been busy. I think this was one of the mosques in Midlands. Can anyone work out which mosque this is? I thought it was Walsall, but I think it looks like something else now. But
Wolverhampton.
Maybe, yeah, I think it's Wolverhampton.
That's the car park.
Yeah, this was in Wolverhampton. So they packed some biryani, I think, or some food, and they sent that over. This was again, I think it was in Walsall. We gave some food to the local bank, and they wrote back saying thank you so much to Ahmadiyya Muslim Association for their great donation of food that we will use within our daily lunch provision for vulnerable people. Another fantastic example of local people and organizations coming together to support others in less fortunate situations within the town. So this again was a very nice gesture by the Jamaat, and which was appreciated a lot. Another message from the Big Iftar donation. I can't thank you enough for the generosity shown by you and all at the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association. This is such a fantastic news and will go a long way in helping us to continue our efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic. So that was in regards to the Big Iftar. This again, I like showing what's happening not just with Khuddam, but in general. This was Lajna sending Eid cards and baking their own little cupcakes and saying thank you to the NHS. And as you can see, it was very well appreciated, and making wristbands as well, or hair ties, sorry. This was designed by.
I've just been to shopping to
I don't know
get
if
the
you can hear.
content which is going to be going inside our gift
Can you guys hear?
bags for Eid. to the key workers and also to the homeless people as well.
The sound is fine.
On my left here, I've got the content which is going to be going to snacks for the key workers, and on the right here I've got a few essentials, hygiene essentials, which will be going be delivered to the homeless people. So what I'm going to do is basically just put a few of each of these contents inside these plastic bags, and then just simply put it inside the gift bag. And this one here is a great product to get. It's from all of this. I've just got everything from it. It's all from Poundland. And this one here especially, this is one of the hot food products which you can simply get. You can store it as dry, and it's very, I'm sure everyone's very aware about this product. And it's basically a pack of this is for 50 pence. So definitely recommend this, and it's all, believe me, from Poundland. So just waiting on now the e-cards from Guides Up, and that's all. Jazakallah.
So that was Adbai in Wolverhampton, and just giving us some tips, because we spoke about this 2-3 weeks ago about what actually to give the NHS. So there's, as you can see, toothbrushes, soup, and our trademark Biscoff crisps, biscuits, sorry. So these are some of the things that you can do. Another activity which our beloved Abir Saab got up to is cleaning, cutting his garden, something which is always pending on our list. You know, we're always thinking, when are we going to do this job? When are we going to do this job? So we have the opportunity now in the lockdown to finally get that done. So this is a very nice, beautiful image of Abir Saab finishing his daily chore of cutting his backyard. Another thing which was an instruction from Mazur actually was to tell Jamaats to give bowls of fruit to the elderly. So this was in Walsall again. So this Walsall was able to give some fruits to some elderly members of the Jamaat, which was packed in a very beautiful manner. So this picture just quickly is just a lot of the prayers which Hazur said, and I'll share this on the groups as well. So that's something nice to go over. Mubarak Saab, again, mashallah, giving fruits to elderly members of the Jamaat, and they're continuing their amazing work in Birmingham North, mashallah. So this is just another example of
Rabita, we have distributed yesterday almost 40 houses, a big iftar party for our Birmingham North.
Mashallah, mashallah. So talk us through this. Why did you do this? Why did you choose fruits? Where did you get these amazing plates from? Very nice.
Yeah, actually, with the collaboration of our Sadr Saab and his family, we made this fruit bucket, because other iftar things like samosa and pakoda will be like not the healthier thing according to Sadr Saab. So with the guidance of Sadr Saab, we just made these plates, and then we distributed this. We split it into 4 teams, and then we all together went for the distribution of these fruit buckets to each and every home. So this is because the whole month we have done a lot of things outside the community, but we want to do something for our majlis as well. So we did it for this brotherhood and harmony. So this is the thing we advised to Sadr Saab, that we can do this within our community and within our majlis qayadat. So we did it.
Very, very good. I think it's very inspirational. I think many of us should catch on to this, and it's really good to see that you're connecting the community. As you know, fruits are something which are healthy and which can benefit all people. So Jazakallah again for sharing these very good, good pictures. So that's that segment done. We're just going to go to Hamza now. As you know, every week we have a segment called In His Own Words. Everyone. We always have to keep in touch with Hazrat Masih Maud's books and the Jamaat books. So what we like to do is just quickly go through one book each week, and it's only going to take 5-6 minutes. And Hamza is our guy. He likes he's really done well in presenting a few books already. So inshallah today I'll just hand over to Hamza quickly. But just before I go to you, Hamza, just to reiterate something which Hazur said again, anything you've started during Ramadan, try to continue it. And it comes in a hadith that even if you do something which you've started, even in a small way. Just like if you've started reading the Quran, some of us don't have the habit of reading regularly. Try to keep it regularly, even if it's just one ruku or just a few verses. Try to just pick up the Quran for a few minutes if you like, and just read it, and just tick that thing off your box. So anything good you've started, continue it after Ramadan. Otherwise, the purpose of Ramadan would have gone to waste. Anything good that you've started. Hazrat Maud's books, if you've read a page, then try to continue that. If it's just a few lines, try to continue that. And everyone has their own limits. Everyone has their own capabilities, and that's what it says in the Hadith, that according to your own ability, according to your own capability, continue the good works that you've done. So Hamza, without further ado, tell us what book we're learning today and what you've learned from that book.
Tika boys, assalamu alaikum. I'll just share my screen.
Not your camera.
I can share the camera as well, but my beard's a bit big at the moment. A bit too big.
Which one is you wearing?
I need to cut it. I need to trim it down.
Nah, come on.
Huh? Wait, let me.
Call Nasser over. He'll do it for you.
Put on your camera. Come on.
Wait.
We just want to see you wearing a Spain shirt. That's it.
Wait, let me see. Let me find it. Wait. How do I find it? Start video. Wait. I need to get a haircut as well, man. Tika,
Mashallah, quarantine made you into a Molvi.
Tika, can you all see my screen, boys?
Yeah.
Tika, assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So the book we're looking at today is Divine Manifestations, and it was written by the Promised Messiah alayhi salam in 1906, and it was published later by Khalifa Sani in 1922. Raziyallahu ta'ala anhu. The main topics it covers is divine knowledge, spiritual insight, and prophecies regarding the truthfulness of the claim of the Promised Messiah alayhi salam, which include the 5 earthquakes, which I'll get onto in a little bit. He also mentions other prophecies to be fulfilled, such as the acceptance and triumph of the Jamaat. So he starts the book just with this quote, this revelation actually. A warner came into the world, but the world accepted him not. But God will accept him and establish his truth by mighty assaults. And then the specific nature of these assaults is then further mentioned as 5 times shall I show you the dazzling manifestation of these signs. And again, from these revelations, the Promised Messiah Islam explains that God will cause 5 terrifying earthquakes, and they'll appear one after another and in very short intervals. And the nature of these earthquakes will be such that they will terrify people to their very core, to their very hearts. The Promised Messiah Islam, he then draws comparison to the signs of Moses Islam, where Moses Islam just manifested his miracles to Pharaoh. Similarly, in this day and age, the Promised Messiah Islam, through these natural disasters, will show his truthfulness through these signs to the disbelieving people. And then he challenges people on this as well, that the earthquakes, they have to unfortunately, they have to cause people to go insane, and there'll be widespread loss of life and property. And then only then will you know that these harms have come from God. Then we start with another revelation, the Promised Messiah Islam, that he got. While I was in a state of slight drowsiness, God showed me a paper on which was written, Tilka ayatul kitab al-mubin, which means that they, as in the earthquakes, will be the signs of the truth of the Holy Quran. And then after these earthquakes, people will turn towards God, and eventually, as we see now, slowly people accept Jamaat and their worldly desires will reduce. He then receives another revelation describing the era of the Promised Messiah Islam. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, as Khosrow's era, which means like the heavenly kingdom. And this has been foretold by messengers previously. They all commence at the start of the 6th millennium, between the 13th and 14th century. And then on his coming, those who are only Muslims in name will start becoming true Muslims. And at the time that he wrote this book, I think again 1905, there were about 400,000 births even then. So even whilst he was alive, the fruition of this prophecy was coming true. Then there's another prophecy that he got, that is, O moon and O sun, you are of me and I am of you. In this divine revelation, God has first called me the moon and given himself the title of the sun. And then just interpretation of this prophecy, the Promised Messiah Islam is saying that he's the moon and he receives his glow through the love of Allah, through the sun. And through that light, that light that he gets is from the bounties of Allah. And then later on, after this, he receives another revelation where Allah describes the Promised Messiah Islam as the sun, meaning Allah will manifest his light through the Promised Messiah Islam. And then just with relation to that, there's another revelation we received, such powerful miracles will descend from the heaven that you will be pleased, again referring to the earthquakes that will come. And at this time, when he was writing this book, 2 earthquakes had already appeared in Qadian, and the plague that was obviously very devastating, all across India. And then again, after this, 5 more earthquakes would appear. And then this verse is from Surah Al-Jinn, chapter 72. And essentially the Prophet ﷺ is saying that knowledge of the unseen is only for Allah's chosen prophets. And at this point, and even after, he'd received thousands of revelations that had already been bestowed upon him. Again, saying that he is in that category of prophets receiving this knowledge of the unseen. And then he then goes on to say about the 5 earthquakes. Following on from this, Allah will show his mercy again. And he compares this to the time of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. Many people perished after the flood that occurred. And then Allah would show his mercy after the divine punishment. And then again after that, there's always a period of joy and prosperity after divine punishment. Then I just want to read this hadith, while summarizing this hadith. Remember, it was necessary for large numbers of people to die at the time of the Messiah, and it was also destined that the plagues and the earthquakes should strike. This is the meaning of the hadith, wherein it is written that people would perish with the breath of the Messiah, and his killing breath would work as far as eyes would see. I think from this is inferring that the spiritual intention and the tabligh that the Promised Messiah will do, that those words are that sword, and through the calamities that occurred, this will also show that his truthfulness. And then again, because of the signs, the punishments they're coming, because people continue to deny and abuse the Promised Messiah, and that's what leads to the punishment. In the past, people have always thought that prophets they bear ill will and misfortune, but that's not actually the case. The prophet is the final warner. The terrible actions of people is what leads to Allah bringing about the advent of that prophet. And then he talks about briefly in the middle of the book about the 2 earthquakes and the plague that had already taken place. So in the Punjab on the 4th of April 1905, there was a really terrible earthquake that was beyond any prediction of any scientist or any person of that time. And this earthquake, the Prophet ﷺ had predicted in a newspaper in such accurate detail 1 year prior to that. And even after that, a year after this earthquake, on the 25th of February 1906, the Prophet ﷺ predicted a similar earthquake to the one that would happen in 1905. And he did it with such accuracy that he said, this earthquake won't occur earlier than 25th of February 1906. And it actually occurred on the 25th at 1 a.m. So literally the accuracy of the prophecy is crazy. And it led to a great loss of life in Rampur, Simla, and other cities in India. And this is the prophecy that he received for that second earthquake. Spring comes again, and the word of God is once again fulfilled. And then obviously this is a really long quote from the book, but I'll just paraphrase it. And essentially the Prophet ﷺ is explaining the need for these calamities. He urges people to look for the person who Allah is alluding to or giving clues to, using examples such as the eclipse of the sun and moon in Ramzan, the plagues and the earthquakes, just as some of the examples to prove his truthfulness. And then he briefly goes on to 2 types of prophecies. The first is a warning, which can be averted through fear, repentance, and charity. And this was the case of the people of Jonah alayhi salam, when within that 40-day period it was said that they would receive the punishment, they begged for forgiveness from Allah and repented, and they were saved from that punishment. There's just a little story about a person called Abdullah Atham. He was a well-known Christian at the time, and Auzubillah, he referred to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the Antichrist. And then during this time, there were quite a few conferences of well-respected scholars, and Prophet ﷺ was at one of these. Well, he was at all the conferences, but in this one particular, he said the consequence of what you said is that you will perish in 15 months. And there were many witnesses at the time who saw how scared and afraid Abdullah was. Then, following on from that conference, the Prophet ﷺ, he in newspapers, he sort of called out Abdullah Atham, saying to swear under oath that you have not repented to Allah. And Abdullah kept declining. And then within a few months after his final announcement, Abdullah Atham died. So again, the prophecy said that the liar would die during the lifetime of the truthful, and it's showing the truthfulness of the Promised Messiah alayhi salam. And then this is obviously a verse that many of us have already heard. I shall grant the Revelation, I shall grant thee blessings upon blessings until kings shall seek blessings from thy garments. And again, Prophet ﷺ is constantly informed by Allah that he'll be granted glory and people will love him. and his movement will spread to the corners of the world despite so many trials and tribulations that we've mentioned from previous books. And Allah will always fulfill his promise. But unfortunately, that also means that the promise of the 5 earthquakes, that will also have to come to pass, because it's a promise from Allah. It's not a conditional prophecy. And then finally, he talks about the need for the earthquakes, which I've briefly gone into, but it's essentially people continue to reject God's mercy. They reject his signs. And because of that, these punishments have to come. And all of these signs and revelations given to the Promised Messiah are due to his complete submission to the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Any new prophet has to follow the teachings of the Quran and the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam completely. And he describes his converse with Allah simply as a reflection of the prophethood of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And then he urges people to accept the truthfulness of his signs, as did the mother of Moses Alayhi Salam when she cast her baby child into the river. And then just one story about the son of Hazrat Khalifah al-Masih I. His son had died, and Maulvis at that time raised objections against the Promised Messiah Alayhi Salam, that one of his most devoted companions had lost his son, which was obviously a bit ignorant because the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam lost 11 of his sons. But to prove the truthfulness, even in spite of that, of the Promised Messiah Alayhi Salam, God revealed to him a revelation that Khalifah al-Masih I would be granted another son, and the evidence of this son would be that he had such boils on his bodies that would be like really, really prominent and really like easy for anyone to see. And he was born a short while after this revelation, and he had so many boils on his body that even as he got older, well into his older years, you could still see the marks from the severity of the boils that he had in his body. So these were literally put on his body to show the truthfulness of the Promised Messiah Alayhi Salam. And then finally, there's just one little phrase that he puts right at the end of the book. My claim, which I have repeatedly put before people, is that none but those who have been specially selected by God's grace are granted dreams and revelations of such substance and quality as number in their thousands, and in respect of which no one else is able to compete with them. Just on that, he does also say, Prophet Islam, that ordinary people can also receive revelations from time to time, and that it helps them to believe in messengers, as it's human nature that we can't always believe something to be true that we can't comprehend ourselves, and it helps for man to just fully comprehend something that he can experience himself. But again, the key thing is the frequency and number of true revelations that come to prophets of God, which number in their thousands. And those are the key bits from the book. Jazakallah.
Awesome, man. Very good. I really enjoyed that, because whenever there's a book that I haven't read or that I know about but I don't know everything about, it's really nice having someone else just explain that to you, because I can see that you've read it and you try to understand it in the best way that you can. And everyone's going to take different bits out of each book. So this is really a really good way to present it as well. Phenomenons and natural phenomenons are very common, and a lot of them are given to prophets, and that's why during this pandemic, people were asking Huzur, was this foretold? Was this a prophecy? And so Huzur's answer was, I was not told about this, so therefore this is not something which has come as a punishment for anyone. This is a time for prayers, and so that we are able to get through this. But with the prophets, they are foretold. They are shown as a sign that Allah the Almighty told us about this. So you have to take these precautions. Just an example about the plague during the time of Hazrat Muslim. So Jazakallah again. I'm just going to go now. Nas, take the strings, bro. As every week we do one little Kahoot session. Kahoot, which is an online interactive quiz. Nasir is taking lead on. A total of 20 questions, multiple choice, very easy to manage for us. So let us know what we have to do today, Nas.
Yeah, one second. Let me just share.
I think you can stop your share screen, I think.
Oh, sorry, bro.
It's not working.
Stop share. Relax.
This is the host today.
Class.
Yeah, okay. There you go. Right here.
Before that, Salman, I'll quickly answer your question about the moon thing. This year, Ramadan has 29 days, and as you know, we go according to the lunar calendar, which starts from the new moon, which started on the 24th of April. Why this year we only have 29 fasts due to the days being shorter. Just like, as you know, just like in February you have 29 days. The same way, this year during Ramadan, because of the moon, and because Zul said today as well, people say, why celebrating Eid on Sunday? Why not on Saturday? And we said that we can't see the moon on Saturday, and he proved that in some places in the UK, some places in particular, he mentioned Hale, where we can have sighting of the moon with our naked eye, which is what the Quran alludes to. So that is the reason why we go according to the lunar calendar, and that is why we have only 29. Not only 29, just we have 29 days of fast. So I'm sure. I hope you're not complaining of why there's only 29 days and why not 30. But that's the whole reason behind it. Yeah, Nas, go for it.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute it. Okay.
So just tell us what we have to.
Okay, right. So can everyone just either on? I think the best thing to do is on your phones, just write kahoot.it. And then you should get a page like this. I'll show you now.
But you can get the app as well.
Yeah, if you got the app, use that, but it might take a bit long. But you can do it on your phone. That's the best way to. And then you can obviously look at the questions on my screen. Once you've got.
Did Rian prepare the quiz today? Was it you?
Well, it was Zaki today.
It was Zaki today.
Okay, so let me see. Yeah, that's actually 1 second. Sorry, just give me one moment. I just want to make sure that was the right quiz. I didn't want to give like an old one. That's it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now on that page, you should write this. He was on late today. That's why he couldn't come.
We got the trio. Mashallah.
Yeah.
You guys can have your family meeting after this. Put on mute, Nas. Put on mute.
Huh?
Put on mute. Put the.
Yeah, that's the one.
There you go. Okay, guys, what name am I gonna have today? We've got
Yeah.
Boris Johnson.
Who's Boris Johnson?
He's our Prime Minister, bro. Boris Johnson's son. I think that's one of the names we should have.
We got 9 players. Let me in them. Oh. Okay, I think Zaki's farting on my leg.
I hope he is.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, not everyone has to join in. It's completely up to you. But it's just a bit of fun, just a bit of way to learn. A good way to learn new knowledge, general knowledge.
Sorry, Mum, I can't join, man. I'm just outside dropping off something. Sorry about that, man.
No worries, no worries. Jazakallah for letting us know. You can still watch and learn as you're walking and talking.
Yeah, man, I am.
Also, pray for Boris Johnson because he's taking part as well.
Who am I?
Let's play the guessing game. Who's who?
Well,
know after the first few questions who's who.
Yeah.
There's no kites up today, so boys, open tables.
There's 12 players.
Khuddam, I don't know if you're still on, but last week when Kawi Bhai was playing, he won. So
he's currently on.
Open challenge to everyone. I think that's everyone. That's 12 people.
All right, I'm gonna go for it. Okay, let's start. Wait, is Khuddam on there? Yeah, okay. How many members attended the on?
How many members?
people got that right.
It was 40. It was 40.
Actually, 75. I've checked everywhere on this. I've checked everyone, all the questions. It can't be 40. Because that's a number that I made up.
I think 40 was the first number of people
who bet. Yeah, who took it.
bet.
Yeah. Ooh, okay, someone was the fastest.
Salman, mashallah. Someone's feeling a bit holy today.
What is the most common first name?
Harry. Harun.
Muhammad. You know, in my college, there's a load of Somalians there, and they're giving out certificates. And and Muhammad come up, and then half of the whole class, the whole hall stood up.
In the Arab world, it's a really common thing. So if you knock on the door and they ask who, they'll say Muhammad. They'll be like, which Muhammad?
Yeah, in Arab, there's a culture that any unknown person, a stranger, you called him Muhammad.
Salman is on it today.
Listen, he's gonna go down. You know, just the way if you fantasy football, you always start off at the top and then you just drop. That's like
downhill from here with his busted knee.
Amir Saab Germany cycles from Germany to the UK to attend the Jalsa Salana. True or false? True. I was actually amazed by this. Gerber was telling me, and this is a question that I wanted you to verify, Rabbi Saab, because I wasn't 100% sure. Then he was into his bike.
Yeah, he does. He comes with not just him, but he has like a lot of Khuddam as well. And they come as a big entourage from Germany. They almost do it every single year. It's quite amazing. Just to quickly wait. I have a Strava app and I follow him on Strava. So every day he's cycling for 27, 28 miles, which is easy for him, 1.5 hours. Sometimes he cycles for like 4 hours, sometimes for 5 hours.
Every day.
Yeah, every day I'm getting updates on this guy, and he's in his 70s, I think.
Wow.
Late 60s, early 70s. So this is the example of the Misab in Germany. Wicked. What an example. Waiting for you, Nas.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
That's right. All right. Next question. What's the largest bone in the human body?
Largest or longest?
Largest?
Definitely longest.
Got that right.
That's where is the female located?
It's the thigh.
Huh?
The thighs.
Thigh bone.
Yeah. Oh, back. That's okay. As Muslims, we believe in aliens.
Not that particular. In the Holy Quran, they're referred to as Dabatul Ard, and this is basically meaning creatures that crawl in the land or live in the land. And as in the alien just means something which is completely foreign to us. Even if you look in the world, people in Africa, for example, they speak a completely different language which is completely alien to us. And so Huzur Khalifa Rabi basically explained that the world is so diverse and it's so large that there is bound to be sort of living creatures out there. But he said Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was the best of all creations, and no one was better than him. And if I did not create him, then I wouldn't have created the whole universe. So that just shows how fortunate we are to be able to be living on the same land that the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was living on. That's an interesting point.
Oh, NASA's coming up, and Rahan. It's Friday. I need to know who that is. Next
Likes
question.
Friday. Okay.
How many squares are there on a chessboard?
Oh. Have to work it out. Has to be an equal number, right? There's only one odd number.
Right. Do you know, I didn't know.
Get that right.
My dad knew that straight away. He was just like 64. Apparently, he used to be chess champion. I don't know. Champion a lot of things. All right.
Oh, Salman knew that as well.
Why is someone still on top, man? Need to eat. How do you keep it up? No.
Nasser Rahman's gracious, isn't it?
Yeah, bro.
Raheem's merciful, bro.
No, it's not. I listen.
I'm looking for
Bro,
the.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, bro. Most gracious, ever merciful.
Don't worry, it contains mercy as well.
Flip, Said Nasser.
Actually, that was the wrong thing I wrote there. I just realized.
You're a lost cat, man.
I'm sorry.
Did you get it right there?
I put most forgiving. I was like, it's not merciful. Confuse me.
Before Mount Everest was discovered, what was the highest mountain in the world? It's a trick question. It was Mount Everest because it was still there.
That's a joke.
That was the best question on here.
Google's getting vexed, man.
Which university has a middle NASA with a tent? Oxford. And only 3 people got that right. Oh, Zia was coming back, mate. Coming back. All right. What type of energy is used in this picture? Oh God. Okay. I want to know these 3 people that said the other answers. Hamza, use one of them in it.
No.
I picked the wrong one by mistake.
Yeah. Go on. You start the excuses.
At least I'm honest.
God, it's Friday, man. Who's this?
Who is this guy?
Abira.
Biddy today.
Who passed the law prohibiting MDs?
Oi.
I don't know this one. I got confused. Oh God. Okay, most of you knew. I thought it was Nzir Bhutto, but
Bro.
general.
Yeah, the general is him.
And then is he the guy that this is that the prophecy of the
blown out the sky in a plane crash or something, I think.
died. I don't know. Yeah. NASA's quick on that one. He's come back. I'm rooting for you, Nas. Okay, who's the most capped in England international football player? Oh, I spot. Only one person got that right.
You got it right.
Who got that right? It's Friday.
It's you, isn't it, Nasser?
Not me, bro. What's the ratio between the third and the fourth Khalifa?
You've asked this before, Nasser. A similar one.
Not this one.
Not exactly like this.
Yeah. See, I was expecting everyone to click brothers straight away as a first option.
Their mothers were different, I think.
Yeah.
Turn me.
Right. Which fast food chain has the most branches worldwide?
Ooh, KFC.
Surely.
Oh, I want to change it. Oh.
No way.
Subway? Nay, Nasser.
No way. Everyone chose McDonald's.
No, I was
Hey.
shocked with this. Yeah, I'm definitely right with this one because I like googled it everywhere. But
Bro, I went to the bin of Africa and I still saw McDonald's, man.
oh god. Okay. Oops. All right. Which Khalifa gave us the motto "Love for Hajj for none"?
Oh, the wrong one. Oh. New Year's the third one.
Yeah, it's third. Oh.
Who's this guy?
Listen, do you know what? I don't know who this is, man.
Murabi Saab, man. It's Murabi Saab.
It must be in it.
Who said that?
Which is
I think it's you.
the game of all time. Murabi Saab is you, man. Obviously.
That's a
Was
hard
it
question.
thingy? I thought it was GTA, man. I thought it was GTA.
I would have put Super Mario, but it was Tetris.
Whoever it's Friday is, bro, he's smashing it.
Listen,
Murabi Saab, killing it.
Guys, like, how do you know the answers to everything?
Friday, man.
In which field is the Jamaat in most need of in Waqf at the moment?
Nice picture.
Oh, 4 people got that right. Yes, Marisa, you must have known that one, right?
I know now.
If it's not you, who's this?
I don't know who could be.
Astaghfirullah, bare lies, man.
Some amazing
Which football team has the largest fan base?
talented person.
Surely.
That's be Real Madrid. I don't know who they are.
Hamza's got that wrong already.
Who are Madrid?
Oh crap, I went to real life. I was wrong Hunger Games.
Everyone thought it was United. They tried.
Yeah. Okay, stayed the same. What does Dores mean? I actually didn't know this. Okay, 6 people. I would have put, I don't know why, but Hassan Pyramid, I don't know why, but that's what my instinct would have been.
Precious pearls. What does it mean?
Oh, that's what I mean. Okay, last question. In cricket, who holds the record for the highest individual runs?
Come on, Boris Johnson.
Wait.
Oh, I got it.
I only know him because of the game, that's it.
That was the one that's a bit odd.
Right, the third. Oh, Rahan.
Yes, Rahan.
Rahan, big guns. Mashallah.
I don't know. It's firing to find out who this person is, man.
He shall remain anonymous. Luck, guys.
Just for today or for the future as well?
No, it was me. It was me. I was Friday. I guess anyone can say that now, but it was actually me. Jazakallah, man. No, good question, man. That's,
Yeah. Oh no, I rushed. Wait, let me just close 1 second because I can keep it from everyone.
Google looking like a proper Google today.
Yeah, I rushed this one, man, because I was really busy. So,
Well done, Rabbi Sab, well done.
Jazakallah.
Do you know who you look like? Do you know the crouching tiger, hidden dragon in it?
Oh, you look like a monk.
Yeah.
What's the story? Why do you keep shaving your head?
This time now, the real story is my wife said she'll blend it in.
Where did it start? Where did it end?
It's scalping it.
After I saw how it was blended in, I thought, take it off.
MashaAllah. That's good, man. Jazakallah, boys. Tiga, that's pretty much it. Usually I have guys coming on at this time and just to give a little message, but he's not here today. So,
Guy Tom was a bit busy today, so he couldn't come. He said to send his apology.
Tiga. Google, do you have anything to say to everyone?
No, he doesn't. Gerber was on late today, so that's why he couldn't.
Yeah, no worries, man. I just want to take this opportunity as well, just to say Eid Mubarak to everyone. That's the last show before Eid, so have a good Eid. Make sure you abide by the rules. Azur made it very clear today, and make sure you're doing Eid at home. Don't don't try to break the rules, because a lot of people they're thinking of meeting family members in their homes and things, and we should remember that obedience to our nation and the guys in charge of us is an instruction from the Holy Quran. So just to be careful as well. Sometimes when you're playing with fire a bit too much, it can also backfire. And just be careful, guys. So enjoy your Eid as much as you can, and social distance is very important. Take care, Zaryab.
Eid Mubarak for everyone as well.
Eid Mubarak, guys.
Eid Mubarak.
Make sure you take pictures on your Eids and make sure you share them next week as well. So we go back to our 3 meals a day. Warisam, is that your cricket team? Is he gone? Oh, he just bounced. Okay. All right, guys. Take care, man. We'll catch up later, inshallah. Okay? Jazakallah again. Keep it up, man. Good questions.
Bro, listen, does anyone else want to volunteer to do them?
I'm just gonna leave now.
I don't mind, Nas, if you
want
at the time, but I'm sure you're free enough.
Getting like, obviously, I want to join it as well as one thing. But
oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do next week's. Then I'll do next week's.
How's your tooth?
Huh?
How's your tooth, bro?
Oh, it's better, I've been. Did I tell you I've been clenching it? No.
Been grinding at night.
Yeah, it means I'm stressed, but I'm quite happy to be fair. So I don't know what's going on.
Well, that's actually,
it happens. Everyone does it sometimes.
I had tooth pain as well. Like it was in my, it was that my jaw was hurting. It's really weird. But then
leaving now, yeah.
But then I thought I like had a look at it and stuff, and he goes, "Mom."
Okay, I thought I had a look, yeah.
Bro,
Let's see how it is.
You'd have to get a prescription for me.
Don't worry, it's fine.
That's going to start online dentistry.
Yeah.
Going in the police, bro.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, man. You need to become a Hafiz first, and then you can do it. Is that for tonight?
Yeah, I need to cut it.
Nothing better than watermelon, man.
Yeah.
Jazakallah, boys. Yeah, Zaryab, is that right? Do Kahoot next week?
Yeah,
do
well,
the
20
kids already,
questions.
Yeah, you can do as many as you want, really, but as long as it just doesn't get like too long in it.
Keep it within 20. I think 20 is good, just within the time limit.
Yeah.
I've already got stuff you prepared, to be fair, from Istamar, local Istamar. They'll be good as well.
If you want, yeah.
As long as like people on here like haven't already been exposed to the questions or something like that, or the answers.
Don't worry. All right, then I'll do it for next week.
Nice. Let's see how good Nas is, yeah. See you again. All right, guys. Awesome, man. We'll see you inshallah next week. Have a good Eid and the last day of Ramadan tomorrow. To remember everyone in your prayers as well. Everyone, all the brothers We'll send this out as well online. We're going to upload this to YouTube as well, so those people who couldn't watch, or if you want to rewatch, you can do that as well, inshallah.
Listen, they're not gonna have my jokes from now, are they?
This part off.
We got a rep to maintain, man.
Oh, don't worry, bro. We'll see about that. We'll see about the views, innit? Inshallah. All right, guys. Take care. Okay, Assalamu alaikum.
Hafiz.